Yo, what is up guys? Welcome back to PSGL, round number 2 of the season of this brand new PC League, and we are here for the Hungarian Grand Prix. One of the more technical tracks of the entire calendar. You know, this track is very difficult and hard to master, so it's going to be a very tough and tricky session. Real quick though, I'm going to get the plug out of the way. If you missed the previous episode, round 1 at Austria, then go check it out. I'll leave a link up in the top right hand corner of the screen. But anyway, let's focus on the action and let's focus on qualifying here at Hungary. So currently we are in Q1. I've done my installation lap and we're feeling pretty good. We're now going to tackle qualifying, and today's video is going to be an example of, in this caliber of league, why a bad qualifying can be really detrimental to a race, and it can ruin a race before it even starts. You can see here we pick up an invalidation on my first time lap on the soft tyres in Q1. I decided to stay out and finish the lap anyway to get a relevant delta for my final runs, but ideally I didn't want to burn through too many soft tyres, so we are going to try and get through on this very next set. And you can see here 2 minutes to go. I'm marginally up in the first sector and we're looking pretty good so far. But then we flick it into the left and I get a big snap of oversteer. We keep it out of the wall so we get no front wing damage, but we are in big trouble. A minute 40 to go. We have just about enough fuel, ERS and tyres to get this around and kind of prepared for another lap. And the pressure is going to be massive. It's all going to go down to one single lap. You can see my tyres are overheating. We need to nail this next lap to get into Q2, and the pressure is massive. Having said that, the lap time cutoff isn't that high, so I should be quite easily able to achieve it. You can see here I'm a little bit down this time through the first sector, of course, struggling, but also being a bit more cautious with my tyres. I just want to make sure we get it done. But then, of course, me being an absolute idiot, we go through the chicane and I pick up a cut through the second one and invalidate my final lap as I hit my steering wheel in frustration, because we are last and out in Q1, just like that. It doesn't happen often to me, you know, getting qualifying that wrong. I put practice in, not as much as I would have liked, but still I felt confident enough. And to be fair, before we actually hopped into the lobby, I was pretty quick. But unfortunately, it's game over already in Q1, so I had to sit there and spectate and watch Q2 and Q3 while that happened. But we finished in 18th place, which is extremely disappointing. We've got Ruben Vallejo and Danny Moreno behind us, so they'll be starting on the last row. But even still, that aside, I'm considering it as a massive L. We're starting from the back of the grid in last place, basically. We've got a massive hill to climb for the race, because you cannot overtake around Hungary, and we've got rain forecast for the race as well, so DRS won't be online. Therefore it's going to be really difficult to get any kind of overtakes done. Talking about the session real quick though, I do want to mention it's a real shame, you know, that we didn't qualify, because my very first lap that I invalidated at the start of the video, I was on course for a comfortable high 12, which would have easily got us through. So it's disappointing. Even the final runs as well, they were looking pretty good. You know, the second times I did manage to put in there, but again, I threw it away. Absolute rookie error, and now we've got a massive mountain to climb in the race, which, by the way, is full rain conditions. So let's jump into it and let's get the Hungarian Grand Prix underway. Here we go then, getting ready for the start of the race, and you can see it's absolutely just chucking it down basically, and we're at the end of the formation lap, getting ready for the start of the race, and we're going to see if we can try and turn this around somehow, starting from 18th place on the grid. Here we go then, the lights are coming on and it's lights out and away we go for the Hungarian Grand Prix. We actually get a nice start. We get a better jump than Julian off the line, and we're going to gain that place, but Moreno getting an absolute flyer off the line in the Mercedes. I can't see a damn thing down towards turn 1. It's 4 abreast into the first corner, so we're just going to kind of be a little bit cautious and hold back for now. We've got the AlphaTauri off the track there, as also Ruben Vallejo gets past as well. And somehow, even though I got a good start, I'm actually last heading into turn 2, which is quite surprising. But out of here, you'll see now a bit of contact between these guys, and we just about avoid contact with Julian there. I think he brushed my side pod, but crucially, no front wing damage, and we get away unscathed. And Julian's going to go for, I believe, a half spin front wing damage, and he's going to have to take a pit stop to get a front wing change. So what was a good start ended up being a near front wing loss and P19, or technically last. So Not ideal, bit of a shame because we got off really well and there was just nowhere for me to go really, into turn 1. But Vallejo gets squeezed off there by Mr. Anchor, so we're going to make up that position straight away and pick him off, and we're now up to P18 and we're back technically where we started. So just by keeping it clean, and being cautious, we still kind of gained back the places that we lost. Heading down towards this 90-degree right, we've got Mr. Anchor looking for a move. Vallejo, I knew he was going to dive on me here. I'm going to try and hold on though around the outside. Now making our way towards the penultimate corner. I'm a little bit compromised. I'm taking a very shallow line into here, but we're just about going to feather the throttle enough to get my nose in front and reclaim that 18th place. And end of lap 1, we are back where we started. We can now get on with our race as Anchor gets a bit of a snap there. And I thought, you know what, I'm going to try and go for this. Rich mix, overtake mode engaged. But quickly I've realised I was actually quite slow on the straight. I had a bit of a look into turn 1, but at the minute it's early days. The confidence isn't there in the conditions. I'm still kind of getting used to it. Anchor getting yet another snap on the rear. And I'm trying, but it's just not there at the minute. I need a couple laps just to make sure I build up my confidence before I start going for some moves, because there's no DRS, of course, in these conditions, and the moves have to be perfect. So we're going to have to be really, really confident and bold. And lap 4, I was starting to feel that confidence. I was happy on these tyres. Really, the setup was working well. I had a good balance. I felt competitive. And I feel like I can make some moves here. There's 3 or 4 or 5 cars in front of me that are slower than me right now. And I feel like I want to make a couple of moves. And you can see Anchor, he's still kind of struggling a little bit for pace. And he's a bit all over the place, oversteer all the time. So we're going to try and make a move here. You can see he gets a bit loose through the left. We're going to try and stay nice and tight through the right. My exit isn't perfect, but now into the next corner, we are going for a huge dive on the brakes down the inside of the Renault. We put a bit of a squeeze on, force him onto the curb so that he doesn't get as good traction as me. Luckily we avoid contact just about. Pretty clean move, and we're up to P17, so we've picked another one off. Now lap number 5, we've got Jorge Alberola and Chanakinchi battling away for P15, and unfortunately, I thought I'd made a move here, but little did I know that Jorge Alberola actually lagged out, and his AI was controlling. So what I thought was a move down the inside or a possible disconnection ended up being just a bit of lag. And you can see it here, he actually desyncs ahead of me and lost a bit of time now, unfortunately. But in the meantime, he is battling with Chanakinchi up ahead. They're both side by side. I'm going to try and close in a little bit and put some pressure on here, but we're not really close enough at the moment to pick up the scraps. But if I can get past both of these guys already, that would be massive for us, because we can get some clear air and try and push after the car ahead. You can see Alberola running a bit wide through turn 2, but he recovers nicely, and he's going to slot in behind Akinci for now. But lap 6, 1 lap later, and I'm going to try and keep this pressure up here, because I feel like I've got a lot more pace. Akinci runs a bit wide through the final corner, and that's going to invite the Haas to have a look, and they're going to be side by side down the pit straight. I tried to use the overtake here to try and sneak my nose in, and that's the plan. Into turn 1, I'm going to try and pick off the Williams, but unfortunately Akinci knows what I'm doing. He keeps a nice tight line, and I have to wait for the exit, which I do manage to just about squeeze through. A little bit of contact there, but now down towards turn 2, we're going to send one around the outside, and it's an absolutely perfect move that gives us the inside for turn 3, and we're now up to 16th place. So a couple of nice moves there, the one on Mr. Anchor before, and then now this one on Chanakinchi to gain just the 2 places, which is so frustrating about all of this. But lap 7, later on the lap, we're now trying to chase down Alberola. In the meantime, Akinci now has a 3-second time penalty just a moment ago from behind. And worth noting, my teammate, Philip Presnader, actually pits on lap 7. He's going for the intermediates. So an early call, an early roll of the dice from my teammate, and ended up being the perfect call. I was relying on some information from my engineer, which is Florian Napik, my teammate in AOR, but unfortunately with the telemetry sometimes there is a bit of a delay, and this delay was really, really critical, as I'll show you in a moment, because basically I was unaware. As I kept on putting pressure on Jorge Alberola, I was trying to look by and get a move. I wasn't really close enough there into the chicane, so I'm not going to claim that overtake, because I wasn't even, alongside that much. So we kept on trying. Lap 8, but you see here we have a big bit of oversteer as I try to put the pressure on. I was going for that move into this corner here once again, but I let myself down with the exit. And now listen to the timing of this. So essentially, I get the call for the inters a couple of seconds too late.
Oh, way faster, way faster. Go in.
Oh shit, too late. And that was the key moment right there. Florian told me he's way faster. It was literally 1 second too late. I don't want to cross the pit entry in case I get in trouble because, you know, with this level of league, you can get reported. And unfortunately, everyone behind me did pit. So I managed to nurse the car back to the pits, but I lost about 3.5 seconds to my teammate, Presned, who's right behind me on this lap alone. And then into the pit lane, we're going to get a bit of a slide, and that was so close. I thought that was going to be my left rear gone and a DNF, but luckily we held on. But yeah, the track drastically changed. You know, it rapidly went to intermediate, and we got it all wrong. 1 lap too late. We should have pit on the previous lap, had the timing been a bit better. I should have trusted my gut instinct as well. We could have undercut, you know, Alberola, and we could have been ahead of him comfortably. But instead, it's the worst case scenario because we're not just behind him, we're also back behind Akinci, Vallejo, and Mr. Anker. So all the moves we worked hard to do in the first stint, we are behind all of them once again. So really frustrating. We are back down to last place. And I let myself down again, really. It was so annoying because the first stint was perfect on the full wet. But, you know, it could have been a different story. We could have been ahead of Alberola, you know, chilling, I believe, in like I want to say P15 maybe.
But like the cars ahead
But,
also stayed out.
Yeah,
so.
we got it wrong. We get our first warning for track limits as well. And at this stage now, we've got to try and climb the mountain again. So here we go. We're going to try and get back underway on these tyres. You can see we've got a couple of time penalties around us. So people are starting to make a few mistakes. I tried to have a bit of a look here through the penultimate corner on a VSR Anchor, but no way through for now. Through the final corner, you'll see I was able to get really close, but then the traction he could generate was unbelievable. And it was so frustrating for such a long time. And for a long period of laps, I just wasn't able to challenge Mr. Anker. His traction was just perfect. I get a second warning here for track limits, which was really frustrating. Anker makes another mistake, but the bottom line really is that I wasn't as fast on the inters as I was on the full wets, and I felt like I'd missed a massive opportunity to really capitalise, you know, because I did the hard work on the full wets. I could have then been chilling with some clean air on the inters, trying to catch up to the top 10, but instead, we're back down to 19th place, and I was just kind of fighting a losing battle the whole race. Lap 15, personal best. I'm pretty close to Anker here, but again, not close enough. I could have a look on the brakes, but it's not the same as the full wet, where I was able to outbrake people comfortably. This is not the same anymore. We get a bit closer again through turn 1, putting a bit more pressure on him, but he's holding on firm. I tried to have a bit of a look around the outside here at turn 2. Again, no way through. And yeah, I was trying everything, but I wasn't able to get by. But luckily, eventually, you know, persistence pays off, and if you've got patience, good things will come your way. And you can see here now, lap 17, half race distance, and Mr. Anker makes a bit of an error, but also myself, I tuck in the nose beautifully here, and I try to force the issue a little bit. I'm trying to make a bit of a nuisance of myself and to try and be a little bit annoying. And this time, I do manage to get a bit of a better exit and actually stay somewhat close enough to Mr. Anker. And now you're going to see I'm going to drain part of the ERS and also the fuel. And this time we're going to go pull alongside and then go down the inside into turn 1. And we're going to try and make the move. To be fair, Anker tries to hold on, but I do get a nice bit of traction, slight bit of contact. But we get the job done. And once again, we are ahead of him. We're now P18. But still, lap 18,
Nice move.
17 laps to go. We need to get a move on here. And more frustration came my way because we was catching up quickly. You know, you can see here, first lap in clean air, and we went half a second quicker already straight off the bat. You know, the pace was good. I had pace for top 10, and I was a lot quicker than Ruben Vallejo, but unfortunately, his race kind of went to crap, and he started racking up a lot of penalties, but I felt like he was racking up penalties just to stay ahead of me. You can see here, he keeps running wide, and it was frustrating for me because I felt like he kept on cutting corners, extending, running wide, and it was allowing him to stay ahead of me, which was really annoying because it meant I couldn't make a move, and I was losing more time stuck behind another car. But luckily for me, eventually he is going to pit on lap 20 for another set of inters, and that will release me of the P17. So We are going to gain one more place, and we set. Actually, no, we don't set, but just shy of a personal best. And now we've got a bit of clean air, and we can try and use that to our advantage. Lap 21, we're on for another personal best. We've got a couple more cars in the pits, I believe. We've got CRG Atta for Red Bull, and we're now up to P16, personal best as well. And again, you know, clean air, we were starting to do really well. The car was working well, good pace, even though these tyres are pretty worn now. And we was ticking over nicely. Chanakinchi pits as well on lap 22. And we're going to gain another place. And also on for a personal best once more. As you can see, we improved by half a second once more. So we're absolutely flying here. We gain another place as Tino Nalkadinen pits for the other Red Bull car. So we're 14th now. And the next car is Shizu Andy, and he doesn't have a time penalty currently. And ahead of him, it's Jorge Alberola. So I do wonder, this entire stint, you know, we could have been ahead of Jorge and probably a couple of seconds up the road, you know, well clear and running away with it. But instead, we're a couple of seconds behind him. Lap 24, and we've got Fabrizio Donoso rejoining the track here in the Renault, so also pitting for a fresh set of inters, and he's going to hopefully carve his way from the traffic, make it a bit easier for us, and fingers crossed he tries to make a move on Andy. In the meantime though, behind us, Tino, fastest lap, he's flying in the Red Bull. He does have a time penalty, so does Fabrizio Donoso, which is something I don't have currently, but you can see here they're both battling, Andy and Fabrizio for position. And surely the runner will get this one, of course, on fresher intermediates. He's going to make a nice move here. Around the outside, Andy tries to fight it, but Fabrizio, of course, an F1 Esports veteran, makes the move, and it's job done for him. I tried to pick up the pieces, but I wasn't really close enough or aggressive enough to do so. Lap 27, again, I'm trying to look for a move on Andy here. I feel like at this stage of the race, I was a lot quicker, but I just wasn't able to quite get by. And then I quickly started to change, you know, my focus, because I started to realise we weren't going to make it on the tyres. So I had to change my driving style. Simple as that. I had to kind of give up on the fact I could make an overtake and I was quicker, and I had to accept my L and just drive slower. You can see here Tino Nalkadinen looking for a move into turn 1. Luckily I read it and managed to react on the brakes. Braked really nice and late. Leave a bit of room on the inside, and we hold P14. And this was the story really of the last 3 laps of the race. So it quickly went from attack to defense. Not out of choice, you know, because I wanted to keep going pushing forward, but the tyre wear was starting to catch up. And if I wanted to make it to the end of the race, I had to manage my tyres. So you'll see here now, lap 30, Tino tries another move, but I'm pretty good on the brakes. I'm probably one of the better late breakers, as you've seen in this race so far with the overtakes I've made. Worth noting as well, a penalty now for CRG Atta as well. So as it stands, we should be finishing in P13. We'll benefit from Jorge Alberola's penalty, and we'll gain one more place. But now lap 30, this is when I accepted, you know what, I'm going to let Tino go. Hopefully he can maybe overtake Andy, force him into a mistake, possibly, you know, it might give me an opportunity to get past Andy on track because he currently has no penalties and I can't quite get by. So we let Tino go. I know I'm going to get the position back because of the time penalties, so it's a bit of a low risk and a bit of a smart move in a way, if you think about it. So we're going to let him kind of crack on and get to work on his fresher intermediates. I'm quite comfortable. I'm able to keep Atta behind me. And you can see here Tino getting past Andy straight away. And unfortunately, it didn't have the result I wanted. You know, Andy doesn't get a penalty. There's no mistakes. And Tino makes quite a smooth overtake. You can see my tyre went out with 2 laps to go. We are on 77%. And we're adding up to about 4% per lap on the left rear. So this was really close. Heading on to the last lap of the race, we're under pressure here from CRG Atta, and this was a really, really tense final lap. You can see the red marker in the bottom right from our tyre wear. We are hanging on by the skin of our teeth. We are within puncture territory, and we've still got a full lap to complete. So I'm trying to hang on here as much as I can, and we've done a lot of laps on these. I believe since lap 9, I think, on these intermediates. So there's been a bloody long stint, but we're going to try and hang on. Atta was, you know, trying his hardest. He had a lot of fresher tyres, of course, but again, I wanted to hold on as much as I could and try and win it on track, you know, this little mini battle. And to be fair, I drove really well this last lap. I kept it very smooth. I tried to avoid curbs on the left rear. And also, there was a couple of punctures elsewhere. So, Josh Idaru in the McLaren, he had a puncture. He managed to pit and rejoin ahead of us anyway. He's just up the road. And also, right about now, Danny Moreno from Mercedes picked up a puncture. You can see him now on the outside of the track here. He has a left rear puncture. And we're going to gain another position and move up to P14. And meanwhile, you can see ahead of us, we've got Andy, then it's Naukudinen, and then it's Alberola in front of him. So we're all trying to catch up. I believe Josh Idawu has a penalty as well in P10 in the other McLaren. And we're just hanging on, basically. We're keeping it nice and tidy, making sure Atta doesn't make a move. And with a couple of corners to go, somehow we've made it on these tyres. We didn't get a puncture. We kept it very, very tidy. I used the last bit of fuel in the RS running up to the line. And for this race, we benefit from penalties, and we are going to finish in P12. So not bad in the end. You know, when you consider we started P18, we recovered to P12. But I can't help but wonder, had we, if you know, qualifying was bad enough, the fact I messed up quali, but had we got the timing of that pit stop better, if I had to pit one lap before, I could have had clean air, I could have managed my tyres better as well. And, you know, looking at Josh Idawu Donoso as well, having 6 seconds worth of time penalties, I couldn't help but think we could have been maybe P9 today in that race, P8, P9 in that kind of area, that mix. I do believe we had the pace for it. You know, stuck in traffic the whole race, so it was a real shame, a bit of a missed opportunity for us. The strategy was perfect in that sense, so the one stop worked out okay. I think it was faster than the two stopper. I think I still could have got to the end, pitting a lap earlier, just because, like I said before, I could have managed my tyres easier in clean air, whereas in that race I had to kind of really force it to try and make some overtakes happen, which wasn't ideal for my tyre wear. We then look at the driver standings, and of course Philip Presnett got a P4 in the race, so he holds on to his second place, but Alvaro Carreton is equal on points with him as Barry Brumand leads the way for Alpha. We dropped down to P12, of course, who was in 8th place after round 1, and it's not looking great for us. I need to try and step up my game a little bit. We look then at the constructors, and we are still in 2nd place ahead of Williams, so that's a little small positive in a way. So hopefully we could try and improve upon that in round 3, which is the Spanish Grand Prix. But yeah, overall, guys, that is going to be it for this video here today for the PSGL League. A frustrating one, and one that proves if you mess up qualifying, especially around a track like this where you can't overtake, you're going to be in big trouble. And then if you also mess up any small opportunity that you may have to capitalize or benefit, it's going to hurt you twice over. So yeah, that's the kind of level of this league, and that's where making those small mistakes really makes a difference. But unfortunately for us, it wasn't our day. Guys, if you enjoyed the video, leave a like. Thank you to all the members, of course, for supporting the channel. And if you're new around here, then hit the red subscribe button, guys. It really helps me out, and it really means a lot to me. We've recently hit 57k, and I want to try and push towards 60 if possible sometime soon. And finally, check out the 2 videos on screen if you have not seen them, including round 1. And I'll see you guys next time for round 3 in Spain. But until then, take care, and it's goodbye from me.